CraftyHope. Welcome to my studio. This is something new for me. Nina, Fickett, and I decided to do this YouTube hop that we're calling 10 Arty Questions. We invited 8 other artists to play along with us, and each of us has submitted a question. So that for a list of 10 questions that we're going to hop through and all answer. So in a second, I'll get to answering the questions. Let me introduce myself real quick. I am a jewelry and mixed media artist. I dabble in all kinds of stuff. So my videos you'll find, who knows? You never quite know what I'm going to be making. I'll make outdoor hanging stuff. I'll make art journal stuff. I do a lot of jewelry, and I'm just kind of a Jane of all trades. So if there's something that you want to see that I've mentioned, just let me know. I'm always looking for new things to record. Okay, so this is a YouTube hop. And so when you finish my video, you'll hop to the next person. I'll have her link below. That's Casey of Express Your Arty Soul, and from there she'll have another video. So if you're starting with me, then you'll just go through all the other 9 videos once you finish mine. It'll be in the description box. We'll have these up for ages, so if it takes you a couple days to get through them, that's fine. You know, it's probably gonna take me a couple days to get through them all, but I'm really excited about this hop. And if you've hopped through all the others, thank you for coming and joining us on this. I think it's a lot of fun. We might do it another time. So if you've got ideas or suggestions, or if you want to be included in a hop like this, you know, kind of let me know, let Nina know, and we'll figure something out. All right, guys, let me get to it. I'm going to record this in a vlog type style. Some of the videos I've recorded over my desk. I've done some videos of stuff in the yard, just things that make me happy and occupy my days. So we're going to get to it. Question number 1 is, what in your artistic career has given you the most joy? Y'all, I'm afraid that I'm going to be super vague with this. I find the most joy in other people liking what I create, and I don't need like that external validation. It just brings me some happiness. It's one of those things that whether it is somebody buying something I like, something I've made, or giving me a like on Instagram, or commenting to me that they like the necklace that I'm wearing. Little things like that just give me so much joy that I can bring art to somebody in some other way. So that is, I know that's simple and vague. I don't have any like big accomplishment or something like that's like really given me joy, but it's the little moments, the little likes, the little shares, the little things like that really just give me so much joy when it comes to my art. All right, so question number 2 is, if you could only have 5 art supplies, what 5 supplies would you choose? Oh my gosh, y'all, that is my question that I asked for this hop, and I am super vague with it. I cannot decide on 5 art supplies specifically because I dabble in a little bit of everything. I do jewelry, I do the mixed media art, I do all kinds of stuff, so I'm going to be kind of vague with this. So and this is in no particular order, but number 1 is some either tin snips or scissors, or tin snips and scissors. I have a pair of tin snips that I absolutely love to cut down old like cookie tins and tea tins and things like that. But I also don't think I could get by without some scissors. I have scissors in every room of my house. So basically something to cut things with. That is number 1. Number 2 is going to be needle and thread. I've lately been really big into stitching, and especially hand stitching, and have found, in fact, my iCads, I did embroidery stitches, and I have found so much joy in bringing that into my mixed media artwork. And, you know, sometimes it even comes into my jewelry. It's not often, but it's there sometimes. So needle and thread would be number 2. Number 3 is going to be wire, as you see me working on right here in this video, along with jewelry pliers. I couldn't make my jewelry without those things, because I can bring in other materials sometimes, but I really need those specific tools and supplies in order to make the jewelry that I make. Number 3 of my materials is going to be an adhesive. So any kind of adhesive My favorites include the Uhu Glue Stick, Fabri-Tac, E6000, as well as Mod Podge and Matte Gel Medium, and even resin, just some kind of glue sealer type thing. I don't think I could get by in my artwork without some kind of adhesive. Okay, and number 5 is the last thing, and y'all, it's really, really vague. It's color. I could not get by without having like either beads or paint. So when it comes to my jewelry making, I have to have beads. There's, most jewelry is made up of beads. You can see in this video, I also use the tin or sometimes soldering or things like that. But to bring in lots of pops of color, I find the beads necessary. And when it comes to my mixed media art, I need paint, whether that's a watercolor or an acrylic paint or a some kind of colored pencil of some kind. So I hate that I am so vague with my own question, but really, y'all, I've thought about it more than any other question because it's the one I asked. So if you want more specifics on like where I get things or the materials I use, I'll try to put some links to like some of my favorite pliers and tin snips and things like that below. But if you have any other specific questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, so number 3 is, what is your go-to color palette, combination, or family of colors? And I have to tell you, I am very much a lover of the cool colors. So the greens, blues, and purples are my jam. You can see here I'm working with blues. Even in my general artwork, a lot of times it's going to be blues and greens and then a pop of brown. So that's my general palette, is going to be blues with browns, maybe a little bit of green. Sometimes I do throw in those warmer colors. I like a coral color or a warm yellow, like a yellow ochre, but I don't like, I will use the fluorescents or the hot pinks or things like that from time to time as a small accent, but you won't often see it in my work as a big thing. So even when it comes to my jewelry, I stick to the blues and greens and browns a lot. And you can see over there in the far left, there's a little bit of orange there on top of some blues and greens. So, okay. That was question number 3. Question number 4 is, how do you feel about digital kits, freebies, or otherwise? Do you use them? All right, guys, I love a freebie. I will always accept a freebie, but when it comes to like digital kits and printouts and things like that, I don't often use them simply because, and it's the craziest answer, I don't have a color printer. I have a black and white printer. It's one of the ones with the toner because I like that I can print out things and do image transfers a little bit better. But if I do need to cut out something in color, I have it sent to the local office supply shop here. I'll like send it over there and go pick it up. And I found that, if I'm especially just doing a couple sheets, it's not expensive. But I don't often buy a lot of those digital kits because it's too hard for me to, not hard, but it's not something I know I can just print out and use. I'm very much a instant gratification kind of girl. Like I want it and I want it now. So since I can't print out a lot of things in color, I don't often buy those things. But I have them. I do have some I have bought in the past and printed out before. And so I'll go for them, but it's not going to incentivize me to like join a membership or something. I do like the freebies though. I will say that. I hope that answers that question. All right. Number 5, what motivates you to create art, or what is the why behind your art? And again, y'all, this is so vague. I don't know. I have an internal need to make things. I can't stop myself. I can't help it. It's something I've been doing since I was a kid. I just need to have busy hands. And that's probably the best way to put it, is I need to have, even when I'm watching TV, sometimes I play games on my phone just because I need to have my hands busy. But that's why I kind of started with jewelry making. I love to just have something in my hands and wire wrap something or fussy cut something out or things like that. And the act of actually creating is to make something that wasn't in the world before is so fulfilling. I find that, I don't know, there's something in it, in my nature, my soul, and I didn't realize it till I was an adult. I didn't start really being an artist until I was in my mid-20s. Yeah, I think so. But it's something I'm just absolutely driven to do, whether it's taking pictures of things like flowers or making jewelry or assemblages or just playing in an art journal. I have to have like busy hands. I have to create something. And I'm glad I found this path. I think my life would feel a little more empty if I didn't have a craft room full of things to play with, honestly. So, all right, so that was question number 5. Question number 6 is, what is your favorite substrate to work on and why? Okay, and again, I'm going to remind you, I do many different arts. So when it comes to jewelry, my favorite substrates or things to work with are, I've really, right now, because I go through phases. I think we all have our seasons of what we enjoy. And in this current season, I love the tin. So that, again, is cookie tins and tea tins and decorative tins in general. And then I also like to solder things. So with like a soldering iron, and like plumbers use that kind of soldering. So that's one of my main things. And of course I bring the beads and all in as accents with the wire. So I love to wire wrap. So it's so hard to like say there's a substrate when it comes to jewelry making. But those are my main kind of things I use. When it comes to the mixed media art, the current season that I am in is making assemblages. So I really love like shadow box assemblages, taking, whether it's the top of a jewelry box, like a gift box, a jewelry gift box, or the little wooden boxes, or other kind of wooden substrates, whether it's using that as a shatter box, or during Seek Gather Create, I used a tuna tin to make an assemblage. So little things like that where I can make a shatter box, that's really kind of my jam right now. That's my substrate that I am loving the most. All right, so what is the next question? When you work in layers, which one is your favorite? Y'all, my favorite layer is always going to be whatever one I'm working on. Whatever I'm doing at that moment in that time is probably going to be my favorite thing. So in here, where you can see I'm working right now on just adding some marks and activating them, I'm loving that in that moment. There are very few things that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to the next part. Now it's tough sometimes when you hit that ugly phase of things to be like, okay, now this is the best part. But sometimes it's kind of like, okay, it's the best part is to work past that ugly, to find, to get through that ugly layer, and that could be fun. So unfortunately, my favorite layer is always going to be the one that's in front of me, whatever it is at that moment in time. All right, number 8. Does where you live and grew up have any influence on your art? Honestly, y'all, I don't know. I have pretty much only lived in the south of the country. I was born in Mobile, Alabama, which is across the bay from where I live now. I was raised a military brat, but we were stationed in the south, in Mississippi, in Georgia, and then in Panama, the canal, before I moved back to Mobile. And now I'm on the other side of the bay in the Fairhope area. And so I've kind of always been in the south, and I don't know that I've had any other influence. I do think that I've had limitations. Like, I'm very limited in some of what I've been exposed to. It's kind of a cultural wasteland here. We don't get a lot of like touring Broadway shows or museum exhibits and things like that in this area, because it is smaller cities. The largest cities to me, I can get to New Orleans in about 3 hours and Atlanta in about 7. So those are the closest like big cities to me. And Birmingham's also fairly big, and that's about 4 hours from me. So I have to go a bit of a ways in order to get some of that culture, some of the art exposure, some of the thinking outside of where I am. So it's hard for me to say that, I haven't been influenced because I don't know. Again, I'm sorry I'm answering these in such a vague way. So I believe that, yeah, I probably have been influenced in that I don't know everything that's out there. And some of this I feel like I'm inventing myself. But living in this digital age where I can just hop here on YouTube or search the internet, I can get a little more exposure than I probably would have back when I was much younger. So I think I have the benefits of having, technology has definitely brought the world a little closer to my doorstep. So that's definitely helped. And I'm sure as a Southern girl, I have the need and want to, I don't know. I don't know. I think growing up military for some extent kept me isolated from some of the Southern pastimes. I don't do a lot of the hunting and Southern things, but I see again that's a stereotype. There are plenty of people that come from the South. There's Harper Lee and people like that definitely were brought up here and still have plenty of art exposure and developed from that. So it's hard to say. Unfortunately, I don't know that I've had that much of an influence other than I've had to kind of seek out those experiences a little bit harder than I think other people who live in a big city probably have. All right, number 9. What are your favorite types of journals to work in and why? All right, guys, you can see it right here. I love working in a junk journal, especially one I have to admit I don't have many that have been made by anyone other than myself. I have maybe one, but I find those too precious. I won one in a giveaway and it's too precious. So I love that I can take junk or things that might have been thrown away or scrap papers that are just laying around my room or some of the things I've played around and altered with either rust dyes or rust dyes or coffee dyes. I was grasping here, y'all. Just the papers I've altered or things I've scraped paint onto or might have thrown away or torn out of magazines and used pieces for other things. The page I'm working on there looks like it was an old map that I had put a bunch of ink on it at some point for some reason. And using those papers that aren't so precious, I think gives me so much more freedom than working in a completely blank, beautiful page of some kind of bought journal. I love the freedom that I can feel, especially when I can create whatever size I want. I think being able to create my own little journals has really given me that opportunity and freedom to explore. I think I've said that a couple times now. Y'all probably get the idea. All right, so I do love a good junk journal. And our last question here, what is your biggest struggle as an artist and how do you overcome it? I think my biggest struggle is the same. I don't know. I think I have several struggles. For one, it's the same that a lot of people have, and that's getting inspired and staying inspired. So sometimes stepping into a blank journal or something like that is, trying to find the motivation to step up to that journal is very much a struggle. And overcoming it is about reminding myself that I'm never going to, if I mess up, I can start over. I can take it apart or I can just start on something else. I don't have to continue working on that. I have this fear of, I'm not even sure how to put it, is of if I mess it up. It's like, you know, I never used to put stickers on things because I was like, oh, well, it's not in its original form. And now I'm like, that's okay. I'm personalizing it. I'm making it my own. Yeah. So I think, okay, I have strayed away from that question there. So I have a struggle with getting started for the most part, but I've come to realize that it's, you know, sometimes you just have to start, and if you mess up, restart, go over it, paint over it, take it apart, tear it up. It's my art, and that is okay to do all those things. Another struggle I know that I have is comparison, that I can look at other people's followers and likes and numbers here on YouTube or Instagram, and remember when I started following those people that they had fewer followers than I did, and now they've got thousands, and that they've got 18,000, and I'm like, but what is it that about me that's keeping me from having those followers? And y'all, I have to constantly remind myself that comparison is the thief of joy. I do not need to compare myself, their numbers, what they're making, how far they've come. I need to just be happy for them. And the thing is, for the most part, I'm happy to see other artists succeeding and going far, because I'm on this journey with them, and we may just be in different stages of this journey. You know, they may have gone to art school and I did not. They may be struggling with other things in their life. I have to remember that everybody is having some kind of struggle that I know nothing about, and my struggles, you know, cannot be compared to theirs, because it's all our own struggles. So a lot of times it's just reminding myself that, you know, I'm just as good as anybody. I just have to keep going and do what makes me happy. And if it's not making me happy, I shouldn't be doing it. So, oh my gosh, I don't know if I answered that completely or not. If I've given you any kind of help or anything. Like I said at the beginning, if you have questions that you would like to hear some artists or other artists answer, if you want to be maybe part of a hop like this, let me or Nina know, because we're already in talks about maybe trying to expand on this idea of these small artist interviews. And yeah, so I'd love to hear what you have to say. How would you have answered some of these questions, or was I incomplete with how I answered some of them? I'd love to hear, or if you've seen me do something in one of these little snippets of what's on my desk, please ask me what it is I'm making or doing, or what product it was I used, or anything like that. I'd be happy to hear about that. Now remember, this is a hop, and I encourage you to go check out the 9 other artists that are involved in it. We each are going to answer these questions in a different way using our own style of video. I have the link to Casey from Express Your Arty Soul. Her link is below in the description box right there. I will hopefully have everyone's link below as well, the whole list of all the artists that are participating. I'll have that below as well, but it will be further down on the list. If you go next to Casey will go to the next person, and you will eventually get through all 10 of us answering these 10 Arty questions. I thank you so much for joining us on this. I hope you get a chance to discover some other artists that may inspire you, and make sure you like these videos, subscribe to them, and hop on to the next person. Thanks for joining us in this. I really appreciate it. Bye.